Hello everyone, I'm Amy Mulvenna and I'm Head of Geography at Charles Dickens Primary School in Southwark. As part of our development of our humanities curriculum this year, we have been exploring ways of planning and teaching with a fantastic online mapping toolkit called Digimaps for schools. This will be the focus of our twofold training session. Today, I'll be giving you a broad introduction to Digimaps, and then we'll be taking you a tour through the digital interface. In the next session, we'll be looking at specific activities tailored to different year groups to give you an idea of the sorts of things you and your classes might get up to. I'll also be sharing the progression for mapping skills framework for you to peruse at your leisure. It really is important that we have a broad understanding of the possibilities of the many different ways we can analyse and interpret maps within and beyond geography. But for a warm-up, here are some questions to get you going. You can pause the video now and I will see you very shortly. As I say, today is about a broad introduction to the digital platform, Digimaps for Schools, and a little journey around the interface itself. To start us off thinking then, from your own perspectives, can you pause the video to jot down what ideas spring to mind when you think about maps? What are they? What can they do? Pause the video now, and I'll see you in a moment. Welcome back. As I see it, maps are key to representing the features and layout of the world, from the local to the global. They're used in a wide variety of ways as part of everyday life, primarily when travelling and locating places. And they're also used in lots of other ways. For example, architects' plans, maps in news bulletins, and as postcard images. And maps are evolving in the way they're used and accessed, moving away from paper-based maps to digital data presented on computers and mobile phones, for example. And finally, for better or worse, companies and governments are using data spatially, plotting information on maps using computers to identify patterns and deal with issues around land management, population distribution, and many more. Added to this, as I'll touch on in the next session, maps are sites for storytelling. They are fascinating artifacts in and of themselves, artifacts that can elicit personal responses to places and things. That is, they allow us to look at something in more detail, not just what it is, and look at the possibilities for engagement with place. But really, I think what all maps have in common is that they show us what is where, and also how and who we are. These two sessions are about exciting you to think broadly about what mapping can be and how maps can be deployed differently, interactively and creatively in your planning and teaching. These are the various maps our pupils should be getting to grips with from early years onwards. Relatedly, Ofsted tells us that maps at a variety of scales are used as a matter of routine and are an intrinsic part of learning in geography. They're key to ensure that pupils have good spatial awareness and are secure in their ability to locate places they're studying. Now, the new National Curriculum for Geography requires pupils to use Ordnance Survey OS maps. As an online resource, Digimaps for Schools is open source, which is important, as we will come to see. And although it's especially designed for mapping Great Britain as an offshoot of the Ordnance Survey, we can use it to explore more globally too. Now, typically, subscriptions for primary schools are £99 a year, slightly more expensive for secondary schools at £159 a year, all excluding VAT. But very helpfully, to assist schools during this current period, Digimaps for schools is free for all schools to access until the 31st of July 2020. To sign up for free access, have your school postcode ready and simply follow the instructions on their website. Schools with a current paid for subscription have been given 4 months extra access for free, and they've already extended existing subscriptions, so you don't need to do anything. For the remainder of this first session, I'll be walking you through the interface and its nifty features. I'm going to be loading the home page now. You can pause the video, and if you don't have a current subscription, as I say, have your school postcode handy. You can negotiate access, free access that way. So I'll give you a little bit of time to log in, and I will see you over at the homepage. Hello and welcome back. Now I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller again and move myself down here. On opening Digimaps for schools, your map window will be centred on Great Britain, as you see here. To zoom in on a location, you just have to double click using your mouse. You can also use the scale on the far right hand side, the scale bar and the plus. And you see as we zoom in, the layers of detail increase. And to zoom out, really simply use the minus tab here on the scale bar. You can also, in the top left-hand corner of your screen, type in place name, coordinates, or postcode you want to search for. The first feature I want to explore is Map Selector. Now, I'm just going to take us to Charles Dickens Primary School to begin with in Southwark. To see what maps are available, select the Map Selector button to open the menu. You'll see we've got Ordnance Survey, Aerial, Aerial X, 1950s and 1890s. I'll touch on those shortly. To switch to a different map, select the button to the right of the map name. For example, if I click here, in the image on screen, aerial mapping will be displayed as the button to the right is selected, and your map will be generated in the map window. This feature, this slider, allows you to fade between two maps. So you select the map selector. To open the menu, select the two maps you want to compare. So I'll say Aerial and Ordnance Survey. Now drag the slider bar here to the left in stages. And as you move the slider bar to the left, the two maps will be displayed on top of each other. When the slider bar is fully left, only Ordnance Survey will be displayed. When it's fully right, only Aerial will be displayed. A really lovely feature then that never fails to enchant and hook pupils is to look at these historical maps. So I'm going to move between Aerial and a 1950s view. So I've selected 1950s on the left, I've selected Aerial here on the right, As I move to the left, you'll see what our school area looked like cartographically. I can zoom out. And zoom out further. Now let's look at moving between 1950s and 1980s. So here, as I'm on the left, only 1950s is selected. Move towards the right, changing, going back through the decades. As a talking point, what do you notice? Pupils can be enlivened to really engage with the changing human geography. There's so much scope for using this in history, for example. And I'll let you jot down any ideas of examples and ways in which this could be deployed in the geography you're using at the moment. Another great aspect is the specificity of the key. So let me just refresh here, refresh bar. So here you see the key. It's a real wealth of detail. I'm quite interested in the water features because our year fives will be studying the rivers unit in their summer term. And in year six then, they go on their residential to Whitcourt Farm in Gloucestershire. So let's look up Whitcourt Farm. There we are. You can isolate only the information you need. Using Digimaps, we can then take our year fives on a virtual journey from the Thames in London towards the source of the river at Thames Head near Whitcourt Farm and explore the watery geographies around this site. It really is an excellent way to contextualise the sites of forthcoming school trips, whenever these might eventually be allowed to happen. And I think the details of the keys available allow for a real breadth and depth of exploration and analysis. All of this can be easily printed out onto A4 and A3. You just go to the printing icon here above Map Selector, which allows you to generate a file for printing. Measurement tools, find here, are easy to use and throw into relief the application of mathematical knowledge and understanding in real life scenarios. We return to London. You could pose the question, for example, what famous landmarks are sited within a 1, 2, 3 or 4 mile radius from your home, from school? Or when planning trips with your class, for example, you could log into Digimaps to find out the exact distance of the routes and involve the children in route planning before you've even left the school. Here we can go to area. I click to start measuring, as so. And you see the numbers are being totted up as we move along. Okay, could be a little bit fiddly, so I'm not going to dwell on that too much, but you see here on the double click to hold that in place, it gives us our tally of meters squared and is also captured here to the left hand side. Now, another lovely feature is the drawing tools feature. When our year ones, for example, come to study their local area, drawing tools can allow them to get to grips with feelings associated with places, what we would call emotional geographies. And there's a great scope to marry this with fieldwork. walk together as a class to a local park. If I just I'm going to refresh here and clear that data. And zoom in. There we have school. Drawing tools. Here we've got lots of little icons. Really are child friendly. But an additional feature is these draw and create tools. So they allow us to place text boxes, to highlight using shapes. So let's have us starting off our walk here. And let's say the children are bring along with them little notebooks to record sights, sounds, smells that strike them along their walk to the park. Over here, Mint Street Adventure Playground. When back in class, you can hone in on this route, as shown on the screen here, and record their sensorial reactions to various points along the route using the different annotation tools available. These can be collated together to make a class map and really can reveal the liveliness of a walk and encounters along the way. So perhaps someone discovers, unhappily, some litter. And allowing, making maps a tool for expression, mapping is a tool for expression, really accessible to even the youngest of children. Image search then is another favourite of mine. I'm going to reload, don't want to save any of that. Image search is found here next to the photograph or the camera icon. Geograph Britain and Ireland is a web-based project used to collect and reference geographically representative images of every square kilometre of the British Isles. Here you type in what it is you want to look for. And you'll see here there are literally hundreds of searches that map onto that keyword. One that is local to our school. Let's see if we zoom in. There we are, I've got two images here of Burgess Park. Another one here. There we are. A map that, an image that will be very familiar to the children. Near our school, Little Dorrit Park. It is a slightly older image, and that in itself is a nice learning tool because pupils might spot the difference between how it was when it was captured then and now. And in doing so, and thinking about those differences, they can engage with everyday objects and their function, and also how spaces and places change over time due to the influence of city planners, community groups, and local councils. And as I say, it is open source. So these images have been added by everyday citizens. You can also add your own images using this function, add your own data. Won't press on that too much though. I'll let you think about that in your own time. Map information here at the bottom offers the neat function of capturing coordinates, allowing you to make those coordinates immediately meaningful and context specific for your pupils. If you drag the slider along like this, and let's plot a point somewhere on the map. There's Guy's Hospital. There we are. You see the grid references, national grid, and lines of latitude and longitude appear here on the left. Useful for children in upper key stage 2 in particular. Okay, so I've given you a brief walkthrough of some of these tools here. We've looked at the map selector and the different types of maps that are available for study. That brings us to the end of our session. The rest of the features I'll leave for you to explore at your leisure. All of these features are easily accessible on the website, and after some playing around, you'll quickly get a feel for the scope of the platform. In the next session then, we will be exploring other practical uses of Digimaps across year groups at primary level. And I really look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you and cheerio.